My sister ended up marrying my ex-fiancé. The letter I received tonight honestly left me completely frozen. Camila writes to us, and it goes like this. Camila's story, a double betrayal. I don't know how to begin this story without feeling ashamed, because even today, after everything that happened, I still find it hard to believe that the two people I loved the most were capable of doing something like that to me. My name is Camila. I am 34 years old, and for nearly 7 years I was engaged to a man named Sebastian. Sebastian wasn't just my partner. He was literally the man I imagined spending the rest of my life with. I met him when I was 26. I worked at a real estate agency, and he had just started as a financial advisor for an associated company. From the very beginning, there was chemistry. He was smart, confident, funny, and he had that personality that made everyone feel comfortable around him. My mom adored him. My dad saw him as the son he never had. And my younger sister, Sophia, practically admired him. That never seemed strange to me because Sebastian was very charismatic. Plus, Sophia and I had always been very close, or at least so I thought. The bond we shared. She is 3 years younger than me. We grew up sharing a room, clothes, secrets, absolutely everything. When we were little, she would cry if I went to sleep at a friend's house, and I always protected her. Always. That's why I never suspected anything. In fact, for years I thought I was lucky. Lucky to have such a close-knit family. Sebastian would come over every Sunday to have lunch with us. My sister would tell him about her problems at work. He would give her advice. They would tease each other and make jokes. Honestly, I saw that as a beautiful thing, until little things started happening, things that seemed insignificant at the time. For example, Sebastian started mentioning Sophia a lot, too much. Your sister is very mature. Your sister really knows how to listen. Your sister understands things better. He never said it directly, but there were comparisons, and little by little I started to feel uncomfortable. I remember one time the three of us went out to dinner. I was sharing something about a problem I had at work, and Sebastian literally spent the whole night talking to my sister. He didn't even seem to notice I was there. When we got home, I told him, "I feel like lately you connect more with Sophia than with me." And he laughed. He literally laughed. He told me I was being insecure, that Sophia was like a little sister to him. I believed him because I never imagined what was actually happening. Planning a wedding, crafting a lie. Months later, we got engaged. It was one of the happiest nights of my life. Sebastian organized a huge family dinner. My parents cried, my friends screamed, and Sophia cried a lot. I thought it was out of pure excitement. Now I know it was probably something else. We started planning the wedding. Venue, decorations, dress, honeymoon. And during all that time, Sophia was involved in absolutely everything. She accompanied me to dress fittings, helped me choose flowers, and she even helped me write my vows. Imagine that, my own sister helping me write vows for the man she would end up marrying. There are nights where I still think about that and feel like throwing up. The discovery. Everything exploded 8 months before the wedding. I will never forget that day. I had left work early because I was feeling unwell. Sebastian was supposedly in a meeting, and Sophia was supposedly working. I arrived at our apartment around 3 p.m., and when I opened the door, I heard laughter. Laughter. I remember perfectly how my body froze because I recognized my sister's voice. I walked slowly toward the living room, and there they were. Sebastian and Sophia sitting way too close. He had his hand on her leg, and she was crying. When they saw me, their faces completely changed. The silence that followed still haunts me. I asked what was going on, and nobody answered. Nobody. Until Sophia said something that destroyed my life. "I'm sorry." That was all. "I'm sorry." I felt as if someone had ripped the air out of my lungs. I looked at Sebastian, waiting for him to say it wasn't true, waiting for any explanation. But he simply lowered his gaze. That's when I understood everything. Everything. I started screaming, asking how long it had been going on, and the answer destroyed me even more. 2 years. 2 years. While we were planning our wedding, while I was choosing invitations, while I was dreaming of starting a family, they were having a relationship behind my back. The audacity of the aftermath. I don't remember many things after that. I remember crying. I remember breaking a photo frame. I remember Sophia trying to touch me, and I remember screaming at her to never come near me again. Sebastian tried to explain himself. He said he never meant to fall in love with her, that it just happened. I hate that phrase. It just happened. As if massive betrayals happen by accident. As if you just wake up one day having a 2-year affair with your fiancé's sister. I left the apartment that very night. And honestly, I thought everything would end there. I thought my sister would snap out of it. I thought Sebastian would regret it. I thought eventually they would both understand the damage they had done. But no, it was much worse. Because a week later, I found out they were still together. And not only that, my sister was in love with him. Completely in love. My mom emotionally collapsed when she found out. My dad stopped speaking to Sophia for months. Family gatherings became impossible. I stopped attending birthdays, Christmases, everything, because I couldn't stand seeing them. And yet, they stayed together, as if nothing mattered, as if I were simply collateral damage. For months, Sophia tried to contact me. She would send me incredibly long messages, saying she never wanted to hurt me, that she fell in love unintentionally, that she couldn't control what she felt. But honestly, I couldn't listen to her, because there is a massive difference between feeling something and acting on it. You can control your choices, and they made hundreds of choices. Lying to me, hiding, meeting in secret, embracing, kissing, sleeping together for 2 years. That is not a mistake. That is conscious betrayal, replaced entirely. The worst came later, because a year later, I found out they were getting married. Yes, my sister ended up marrying my ex-fiancé. When my mom called me crying to tell me, I felt something very strange. It wasn't just pain, it was humiliation. As if my entire life had been replaced. As if Sophia had stepped right into my place. She used the same wedding venue I had booked, the same one. And the most sickening part is that they even chose a honeymoon similar to the one Sebastian and I had planned. That destroyed me psychologically because I felt like they had stolen my life. For a long time, I became obsessed with comparing myself to my sister. What did she have that I didn't? Why did he choose her? When did he stop loving me? And even worse, did my sister envy me? Because honestly, there are moments where I believe Sophia didn't just want Sebastian. I think she wanted my life, my relationship, my wedding, my future. And that terrifies me. A broken home. I spent years without talking to her. Years. My family was left completely broken. My mom lived in depression. My dad became distant, and I developed anxiety attacks. It was hard for me to trust even my friends, because if your own sister can do something like that to you, then you start to distrust everyone. The saddest part is that for a long time, I kept loving Sebastian. And that made me feel ashamed because I hated missing him. I hated remembering happy moments knowing how it all ended. There is a very specific type of pain that happens when you discover that 2 people you love were laughing with you while deceiving you. Because you start to review memories, photos, conversations, vacations, and everything becomes contaminated. Everything. There were even moments where I thought I was exaggerating because some people would tell me, well, at least they were honest in the end. Honest? After 2 years of lying? No. That isn't honesty, that is getting caught. Currently, they are still married. They have a daughter. And yes, eventually I started speaking to my sister a little bit again, but our relationship will never be the same. Never. Because there are wounds that do not disappear. You can learn to live with them, but they never fade. There are still family gatherings where I feel a horrible awkwardness, and honestly, I still find it hard to look Sebastian in the eye, because a part of me still doesn't understand how someone can kiss a woman while desiring her sister. The hardest part of all this wasn't losing my fiancé, it was losing my sister, because I eventually managed to let go of Sebastian, but losing trust in someone you grew up with your whole life, that breaks something very deep inside you. Today I am better, I am in therapy, I met new people, and slowly I have rebuilt my life. But honestly, there are still nights where I wonder if I ever really knew the two most important people in my life. Thank you for reading me. Camilla. Wow. Honestly, this story left me thinking a lot. Because here we are not just talking about an infidelity, we are talking about a double betrayal. And sincerely, I believe that when a betrayal comes from family, it hurts even more than a romantic betrayal. Because Camilla lost two people at the same time, her fiancé and her sister. And I want to make something very clear. A lot of people try to justify this kind of situation by saying things like, love can't be controlled. Okay, maybe feelings can't, but actions can. And here there were 2 years of conscious decisions, 2 years of hiding, 2 years of lying, 2 years of looking Camilla in the face while planning a wedding. That is extremely cruel. Personally, there is something that heavily impacted me. The fact that Sophia helped organize the wedding. Psychologically, that is very heavy, because it means she could live with the guilt on a daily basis. And honestly, I want to ask you something. Could you forgive a brother or sister after something like that? Because honestly, I don't know. I think there are betrayals that forever change the way you see a person. And another thing that left me thinking a lot. Do you think Sebastian really fell in love with Sophia? Or did he simply enjoy the thrill of the forbidden? Because that happens a lot too. Sometimes people destroy entire families for temporary emotions. And I want to touch on another important topic, comparison. Because I am sure that after something like this, Camilla started constantly comparing herself to her sister, and that destroys self-esteem. But sincerely, this was never about Camilla not being enough. This speaks so much more about Sebastian and Sophia than about her. And another tough question, do you think the family should support a relationship like this? Because imagine the conflict. On one hand, she is your daughter. On the other hand, she is also your daughter. What do you do there? Honestly, this story seems like it was taken out of a movie, but sadly, things like this happen far more than people think. Now, I want to read your thoughts in the comments. If you discovered that your brother or sister was dating your partner, could you ever talk to them again? Do you think Sophia really loved Sebastian? Or do you think there was competition and envy behind all of this? And the toughest question of all, what hurts more? Losing the love of your life? Or discovering that your own family was capable of betraying you? I'll read your responses in the comments. And if you have stories you want to share anonymously, feel free to send them in. Because honestly, reality often surpasses any soap opera.